Hello students, this video will show you how we can use the online simulator known as PLC Fiddle to build, modify and simulate PLC ladder logic diagrams. You can access this by entering the URL PLC Fiddle into your browser. Once you have clicked that, you will be able to see an already established program within the PLC Fiddle environment. So don't worry about that. We can, as I said, modify our PLC ladder logic within this environment. So if you see this screen, once you have typed in plcfiddle.com, then you know that you are in the right place. Now, first and foremost, I would like you to understand how the layout of this platform works so that you know exactly where everything is. Now, in the first instance, how about I just go ahead and I delete the things that are available over here so that you don't have to worry about them. For that, we would have to go to the other tab right here. In this tab, you will be able to see different options available to you. This is the trash, so you can remove anything that you want by clicking on the item and dragging it down all the way to trash. So there you go, it is now in the trash, so you don't have to worry about that. So this is how you can delete items that you have already placed onto your ladder logic. This right here is used for branch circuits, as we have discussed. So this already we have a branch circuit over here. The way this option work, it could be a little bit tricky, especially if you are not familiar with how to deal with this. So what we have to do is we have to drag this item, place it before or after a specific item in order for this circuit to work. And then you can add different aspects to it. Okay, so this is the only thing that you have to be careful how you are adding your branch circuit, because your PLC ladder logic will obviously depend on it being placed in the right position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one. So I'm simply going to drop it in the trash. Now let's have a look at the things that are available to us. So on the left hand side, what you see are known as variables. So based on the default program that we already had available to us, these are some variables that have already been presented. Now the only thing that you have to be careful when you are adding or deleting a specific variable is this drop down menu. Now in this specific case, let me just add a variable to show you how easy it is to work with them. So all I have to do is write, let's say motor 2, add it, and it will appear right down here. Now once I add this specific element anywhere on this PLC ladder logic, I will be able to manipulate motor 2 with my start or stop buttons. So this is how you can add variables in your environment. Now if I click this drop down menu, you would be able to see there are other options available to you. You have numbers, so you can also give variables numbers. You have a timer and you also have a counter. So now let's just have a look at again the things that are available to you. So for example, in the contacts tab, you will be able to see different contacts that are available to you. This right here is a normally open contact. This right here is a normally closed contact. So these are some options that are available to you over here. And as we have covered, these are used as inputs. So they will go on the left hand side of your PLC ladder logic. Now, if I were to simply put any of these variables in my PLC ladder logic, all I have to do is click on it, drag it, and drop it. And the only time you will drop it is once you see this blue dotted line. So you will know exactly where it is going. So there you go. Now we have dropped it. Okay. So once you have dropped it, then based on the inputs that are available to you on the left hand side, you are able to then select any one of those inputs so that they will work as this variable. So in this case, let's call it motor, which it was in its initial state. So when the motor is on, as you can see, the circuit is running and it is live. Now these green bits that you see, they show that at the moment these are the places where we have a high uh, input and we have 1 as our output in these specific cases. So motor is on, that is why it is green. The normally closed contact, as you already know, in its default state, it lets the power through. So that is why we have the motor on in this state. Okay, even if our start button is off. So if I turn the start button on by simply clicking on it, so all you have to do to change the states is simply click on these options and you will be able to work with them. However, if I were to now click on the stop button, as you can see, the motor will turn off. Now, in case you're wondering where did we come up with this coil, as you can see this tab over here, this tab is for coils. So you can again take a tab, take the output, which is the coil in this case, and put it in on the right hand side of your PLC ladder logic. So if I were to do that again, simple drag and drop, let me just place it in rung number 2 right here. So this is how it will go there. Okay, so let's say that I don't need that right now. So let's again go back and delete this. The same rule applies, drag and drop into the trash and it's gone. Now, if we need to add a rung, the option that we have available to us over here, we can do that as well. So if we click on add rung, another rung will get added. Okay, and if we have to delete the entire rung, all we have to do is, as I've shown you before, take the entire thing to trash. Now, at any point, if you want to save your program, you can do that by clicking over here. This will create another URL that you are able to come back to whenever you want. However, you would need to create a login account here that will allow you to save your programs online. So this was with regards to the coils, which would be your outputs. Then, as you can see, there are other options available to you as well. So we have math options available where we can add, subtract, multiply, divide, or move different variables. We have compare options available to us where we have greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, not equal to. So any one of these options can be utilized within our PLC ladder logic. You also have timers or counters available to us. So if you want to count or use a timer so that a specific action takes place after a certain time has elapsed, you can do that as well. So now let's come back to our contacts tab and let's work with this circuit a little bit. So right now, as I said, if your start button is on and your stop button is off, then you should get your motor on. But in this case, as you can see, both of them are on. So your motor is currently off. However, if I turn the stop button off, as you can see over here, now it is live because, as I have said, it is a normally closed contact. Your motor is currently on. Okay, now it does not mean that you need to work with this default circuit. You can delete the entire rung and put it in the trash, and you can start a new if you want. Okay, so let's play a little bit more with this circuit and let's add some more variables to it. So we already have a rung available to us over here. Let me add a variable down here. So this is my input. Now again, if I click on this, I am able to select any number of these inputs that are available to me. Okay, so now let's say that I select motor number 2 in this case, the input that I formed myself. So I have selected motor number 2 here. Let me do the same thing over here as well. So let me select motor 2 and motor 2. Okay, so now what I have done is I have taken motor 1 that was already available to me completely out of the equation. So now I can even delete this option that is available to me. So it will not affect my circuit because I already have motor 2 in all the right places, and the only motor that is being affected right now from my start and stop buttons is motor number 2. So how about we go ahead and we add some mathematical aspects to it. Let's say that we add the multiply variable over here. So let me bring it down, drop it over here. Now since we have the multiply option available to us, now I need to give it some variables. And as you can see, right now if I click on it, I don't see anything in the drop down menu. This is why I do not have any variables to go in this box. So for that, what I have to do is I would have to employ some variables. So let's say I call it variable 1, but before I add that variable, what I need to do is, and this is what I told you about this drop down menu, I would have to click on this and I would have to select a number, because multiplication has to be done with a number. You can't multiply 1 with 0, you will get a 0. Okay, so we need numbers over here. So that is why I will click on number, and now I will add this down here. And as I have done that, as you can see, there is a number available next to it, which in this case is 0. So I need another variable. So I will add variable number 2. As you can see, there are 3 options available to me. So I can either have 2 variables or 3 variables that I can develop and put in this multiply box. So let's have variable number 2. Let's add it here. So now this is what I have. I have 1 and 2 variables. Okay, so let me put these variables in here, and as you can see, as soon as my input go here on the left hand side, my variables appear over here in this box. So let me use variable number 1 here, variable number 2 here, and let's use variable number 2 here again. Now the reason I'm using this is so that whatever variable number 2 is, after it has been multiplied with variable number 1, gets stored as the final value of variable number 2. Okay, so we would be able to see that final value over here as long as our motor is running. Okay, so in case I want to turn the motor off, let me do that right now. So right now the motor is off. Okay, so let me now add values in these 2 variables. Now for that, what you need to do is you need to click over here, and you would see these options. You will see a tick box that means that okay, the value is good to go, or you don't want this value to be here. So what you can do is you can simply add values over here. So variable number 1, I am adding 2 as the value. So tick, now the 2 value is stored. And for variable number 2, let me add 4 over here, for example. Okay, so 2 multiplied by 4 is equal to 8. Now as my system will run, as I, for example, if I turn my stop button off, my motor is now running. Okay, and as my motor is running, as you can see, 2 is being multiplied by 4 for as long as my motor is running, and this value will keep adding up, keep adding up, keep adding up until I press this button. So now I know how long my motor has run for. Okay, so this is how you can utilize different aspects that are available to you in the PLC Fiddle environment. And this right here, it is also known as the simulation field. This is where we construct our programs, we modify them, and we try to find out if our PLC ladder logic is actually working before we upload the program into a PLC system itself. Okay, so this was an overview of the PLC Fiddle online simulator that is utilized for PLC ladder logic programming. I would strongly recommend that you simulate your circuits that we have covered in the class in this environment, so that you can get a better understanding of how these values are coming in, how the inputs are affecting the output, and you will be able to see everything happening in real time based on the values that you will plug in. Okay, so this is the end of this video, and please work with the plcfiddle.com whenever you get the time to do so.